Happy Tuesday. I say it every week because it is always the most favorite day of mine of the week. I always get to share it with fantastic guests. I love the interaction with all of our audience. You guys are phenomenal. I love you. You rock. Thank you for being here so faithfully every week and for always pouring into all of our cups and allowing us to get through this show. Sometimes it's emotional. Sometimes we're excited. We're sad. Whatever the case may be for that day, I appreciate my audience. You guys are phenomenal. So before we get into tonight's topic, I want to do, as I always do, remind folks who are watching why we are here. We are here for a purpose, people. We are not here just making noise. We're doing more than making noise because we are making noise. If you know me, I'm loud. We are here to make sure that we support and that we help anyone who is dealing with domestic violence. So if you yourself, someone you know, someone you love is dealing with any form of domestic violence, be sure to follow that number on the screen at 1-800-799-7233. You can reach us as well on any of our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere you think of, we're there. Find us. You can also find us on our website at loveshouldnothurt.com. You can reach out to us via text, inbox, message, voicemail, whatever it is. If you need help, we are here. If we cannot provide you the services you need, we'll find somebody to do so. So I'm super excited. I say that every week, right? You're used to it. But again, I'm super excited to have this amazing conversation. So last time that we were here, we were on screen with 3 Fierra Latinas, is what I always say, my fiery Latin women. We always have phenomenal guests. And last week, our current guest sister was on with us, and we spoke about recognizing domestic violence in the workplace. It was an awesome conversation. We had so many people interacting with us, and it was great. So we were excited. I thank you, Sandra, Ketsi, and Nancy for being such great guests last week. But this week, people, we have Sandra's sister. But I'm not going to refer to her as that because she's her own person and she's freaking phenomenal too. We have author of the new book. I have it in front of me so you can see it. It is My Unspoken Truth Now Told. We have Abigail Couzens, and I hope I'm saying it right. I hope when she comes on, she'll correct me if I'm wrong. But we have her here tonight. We are talking about a subject, and you can already hear my voice cracking. Now, if you follow me long enough, you know I'm a crybaby. So it's pretty certain I might cry today. It's what I do. But my voice is already cracking. We are talking tonight about a very difficult subject. I do warn folks that are watching that it is going to be a touchy subject. A subject that not many people speak about, but reminder to everyone who watches, when we are here every week, we do that. We bring the truth to light because these conversations that are held in the homes and never brought to light cannot help anyone or forge any positivity in people if we don't talk about it. So tonight we are talking with Abigail Couzens about her book. We're talking about her surviving childhood sexual abuse. And I am like stuttering because my emotions are already flowing. This is a topic that is very touchy for myself. It's personal, but I think that we need to have this voice come to life. So let's bring Abigail on the screen so that you guys can see how freaking awesome she is. Hello.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. I was telling her in the background, folks, how awesome her freaking book was. I was at the airport in Chicago, and I said, let me just start this and read a little bit of it. When I get home, I'll read the rest. I finished the book before I got off the plane. That's how good it was. I was done when I got off the plane. And if you haven't got it yet, you have to go to Amazon. You have to go purchase her book. And I'm going to do this the whole show. So she is getting mad play tonight because I want everybody to go read this book because it takes bravery to come out the way you did. So Miss Abigail, I wanted you to introduce yourself. But before you introduce yourself, I want you to do that intro to your book so that people can feel where you came from.
Awesome. I will. Before I do my introduction, I want to do my introduction live because I want my readers to understand that the book is written in a poetry format. So it flows in a poetic way. So I want to share with you live my introduction. That touch right there. The way your fingers run through my body, the way you penetrate slowly in and out, in and out. I scream, but it just motivates you. Tears running down my face, but you find it more fulfilling. My body so tight. I wasn't used to anything like this before, but how could I? I was only 7, but that did not stop you. 8, 9, 10. Here I am thinking, when will this stop? Damaged. I never fell in love with the idea of sex. Rather, I got comfortable with that piece of darkness. So I carried it year after year. I did not love him. It was just the energy in between my legs that brought on the chemistry. But what do I have to offer? Nothing. How old am I? I'm losing count. Wait, that's right. I'm 11 now. Where is my father? How much longer does he have in prison? I know when he comes out, he'll protect me from this mess of a life. 12, 13. Then it happened. I yelled, Daddy! Before I could say another word, my father looked at me and said, I know. So I stood there frozen. I did not know what to say or if I should say anything at all. So I waited. I waited some more than finally my daddy spoke in a low, sweet voice. He said, I know you've been touched, but I promise you, I'm home now. No one, and I mean no one, will ever touch you like that again. I rested my head on my daddy's shoulders and cried. All I could say was, welcome home, Daddy. Welcome home.
All right, you didn't have to do me like that. I'm already teary-eyed, and we just started the show in just a few seconds, and I'm done. So let me tell you, this book, it hit a lot of personal places. But hearing you say that, just like when your sister came on and she read her poem, you feel it differently because you can feel the emotion from you. You can feel like what you've been through, like you can feel the pain. So that was an amazing way to bring yourself on the screen. And thank you so much for doing that and sharing that piece of you with us. Abigail, tell us about you. Who are you? Let our watchers know who you are.
Well, I am Abigail Couzens.
Cousins. Yeah, I knew it.
I am Abigail Couzens, and I am the author of My Unspoken Truth Now Told, as well as the author of the upcoming book, Women in Posture. I'm a wife of Bishop Victor Couzens. I am a first lady to an organization. I am a stepmother to wonderful children. I'm a sister. I'm an auntie. I'm just a lot of things. The two most things that I love the most about myself is that I'm a personal trainer. I've been a personal trainer for over 17 years, and I am a CO. So under all of this cuteness, I work at a prison, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah. So I wear so many different hats. But I love it when I go to work because I get to take all of these hats off and just be CO.
Oh my goodness. You know a funny story? You look so tiny. Oh my goodness. So that means people really don't mess with you.
They don't.
The sidebar, the funniest thing is that my minor in college was criminal justice. And when I came out, I applied to be a CO. And they were like, you cannot be a CO. You're a woman. You don't want that job. So to know a female CO, it's like, see, women can't do that job.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, I didn't expect that part. That's so cool. So tonight's topic, like I said, is just, it's personal. It hits home. I told you before the show, you know, I was a victim of childhood sexual abuse as well, by a family member as a child. And that's not something that I hide. I've talked about it before in the past. So it is very near and dear to me. And you actually reached out to me and you were already on my thoughts. We had already discussed you, myself and my producer. We had already said we want to have her on. We want to talk about it. So it was kind of like Kesmet. You already were like right there anyway. So when you wrote, I was like, yes, I wanted to. Now I don't have to ask her. She's like right there already. I think it's amazing and it's super powerful because, you know, what I do on a daily basis is talk about domestic violence, talk about abuse because nobody talks about it, especially within our communities, right? We're minorities. We don't have these types of discussions at all. So domestic violence is like right there for me, always at the forefront. Look at my nails, purple shirt. I'm purple, right? I wear it. I live it. It's who I am. But I think that my most biggest and my most powerful trait as Christina, as who I am, is that the fact that I have put a face and a voice to domestic violence. And I don't see myself as a victim anymore. And I would hope that no one sees me as a victim anymore because I have gone way past that title a long time ago. So what I say that to say that you went through something terrible, you know, as a child that I can relate to. And the fact that you now are putting a face and a voice to it is phenomenal. So let me say that first. I am super proud of you. I think that what you're doing is awesome. It takes mad courage to put what's happened to you on paper and let the world read it. Because, you know, everyone is a skeptic. Everyone has something to say. People have judgment, whether it's good or bad. And the fact that you put it on paper and you were living that and you were like doing your thing, I love it. I love it. I love it. I will say that I've had you on my page and I've watched you before with like preaching in church and things like that. So I already know that you have fire energy in you because I've watched you before. So I'm just super excited to have you here. So the first thing I want to ask you is, it took me years to talk about my abuse. Years. And it took, unfortunately, the death of a friend for me to finally say, all right, I'm going to stop talking, you know, and staying in silent. And I'm going to start screaming domestic violence and letting people know my truth. So that was my reason for doing it. So after all of these years, you now are a grown woman. You are a wife. You know, you have amazing family. You have people to love on, your stepchildren. What made you bring this story to life?
I'm a wife. And that really was the main reason, because being sexually abused and molested growing up in past relationships, I never really gave anybody my 100%. Just never. And I've always been cheated on. And it always came down to the whole sex thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, you're plain, or you're this, or you're that. And I'm like, and I don't care, because because I had vowed to myself that I was just not going to go above and beyond. But as a married woman, you know, what husband wants the basic? You know? So it's a topic that I had to bring to the forefront, because I knew it was the thing that was hindering, you know, me opening up, being comfortable with my body, being comfortable with my husband. And it was just a conversation that needed to come out. And when we had it, it was hard. I cried. But he's so loving. He's been working with me, and I'm so grateful for that. And then one of my mentors, which I call my spiritual mother, she gave me a challenge to write a book. And she was like, you have 4 months to write it. And I said, what? I said, what am I going to write about? And the Holy Spirit had already been working on me. He was like, no, you have a story to tell. He was like, and it's not going to take you long to write it. And so I was like, I do not want to do this, because I didn't want to embarrass my family. I didn't want to embarrass my mother. I didn't want to embarrass my father. I didn't want to bring anybody else's business to life. So I always kept it all in. But I just felt that pull and that push. And it wasn't for the embarrassment of my family, but it was for the healing that I needed for myself. So once I got through that, then I was able to put pen to paper. And when I say I cried writing every single chapter, I cried writing every single chapter. But becoming a married woman really gave me that push to get it out.
Wow. So that you kind of like followed into a question that I already was going to ask, kind of in your explanation. So and there's your sister. She's here supporting. So Sandra, both her sisters are here supporting her tonight. It was one of my later on questions, but since you brought it up, I'm going to ask now. So I told you prior, we had a discussion in the green room, folks, and I was telling her how I went through emotions reading her book, right? So as you read each chapter, you learn more, and you think, oh, and there's another one. You got a brother here too.
Oh yeah, my brother.
See, everybody's supporting tonight. That's dope. I love it. As you go through each chapter, you go through motions, and you say, like, I literally was like, why? And why that? And oh my God, like just mad and different for different reasons, right? And then after I was done, like I said, I finished before I even got back to Philly. So I still had like 45 minutes on my plane ride. I sat and I thought about it, you know, because that's normally what we do, right? We sit down and we just think about you, girl. You got everybody, your nephews here, like everybody. That's crazy. Everybody's on here. I love it. Thank you for supporting her. You go through the motions, you read the book, and then you have to kind of like de-escalate a little bit because it's really emotional. So as I sat there and I'm thinking about this book, I know your sister. I think that's another sister. Isn't that another sister?
Yeah.
You guys are posse thick here tonight. So as I'm reading it, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I know Sandra. I've known Sandra forever, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I know, her sibling, and I've watched her and stuff like that. Before I even read your book, I watched you. So I'm like, wow, this is nuts. And like, just thinking of my past and different things. And then I thought about when you asked me if I was in the book. So I thought about when I wrote in the book, right? And how nervous I was for people to read it. Because like you said, it brings out other people's stories too. Because there's other people who are parts of our lives who sit here and are a part of it. So then I thought to myself, wow, like I've seen your mom in pictures. So my point to all of this is, when you decided to write this book and your whole posse is on here right now, how did your family feel? Was this book the first time they were learning about most of this abuse, or was it something that they knew? Like, how did everybody feel when you said, I'm putting this story on paper and people are going to read it?
I told them about it. I also interviewed them.
Okay.
I did get permission from all of my sisters. I got permission from my mother, from my father, to say exactly what I said. And if it was a conversation between me and my sister, or a conversation between me and my mom, they gave me the okay to go ahead and say their piece. I even went as far as, I was saying, I can tell my story and say other names. And they were open to, no, use my name. So it was a blessing. Like, of course, it hurt them for me to have to share this story.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they was also supportive because they knew healing was necessary.
Absolutely.
And so that's what was important at this time. The story is no longer important. It is, but it's not. What's more important is their little sister being healed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what took on me being okay with telling the story.
Wow. So your brother says, I cried very much and called her right away to tell her I love her.
Yeah, he did.
Carmen said, angry and ready to fight. Helen, I do see your comment. I see that it's longer, so I'm going to wait a little bit so that I can put it up and make sure that we pay attention to your comment, Helen. So we will get back to that. No worries. I want to encourage everyone that's watching. I love to be interactive. So if there's anything that you guys have questions about, or any type of love you want to throw onto her, please add them to the comment box so I can put them up and she can see them, so she can feel the love in the room. And remember, at the half-an-hour mark, we move on to questions and answers. So if you guys have something you want to ask her or say to her, put them up. Christina will put them right on the screen right after. I'm not sure if you can see them, but I'll read them all to you. So that was one of my big questions, right? Because I've seen pictures of your mom through Sandra's page and things like that. And just, I could never imagine your mom, she looks so chiquitita and like the pictures and stuff. So I could never imagine your mom, being mean or any of the above. So since then, since you've grown, you're older, what is your relationship now like with your mother?
Ooh, I'm going to cry.
That's okay. I cry all the time.
My mom is a very touchy subject for me, between her and my little sister, Rebecca, who I talk about a lot in my book.
Yes, you do.
They're very sensitive. Unfortunately, I thought that once I interviewed my mother for the book and was given the okay to share everything, that we will be, that'll be the beginning of a new start for us. Unfortunately, it hasn't been.
Okay.
So yeah, still working on it.
Move on from that. Yeah. That's okay. So how about your relationship with your siblings? Like, has this story being out brought you guys? I mean, they're all on here giving you mad love. So
Yeah.
have you guys always been close? Have you guys always had a great, yes? Okay.
Yes. So yeah, this is nothing new for us. We've always been close. Like, so yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. They are like going off in these comments. I'm like, okay. So your family, was supportive through this, and they gave you much support, and they said, do it. How real did it all become to you once you started to put this to paper? Were you just like, wow, I'm really doing this? Or like, how real, even more so, I know how I feel every time I look at my documentary, right? So I look at this documentary, and I remember the first day that I watched it, after it was all edited and it was put together, and I sat, on the sofa, and I watched it, and listening to myself cry and listening to myself go through the motions. I had said through the whole thing, like, oh, this is helping me. I'm going to do great. I'm letting it out. But watching it, every time I watch it, I cry, because I'm like, listening to it all over again, and kind of like not reliving the moment, but just, I think my tears are more because I feel like I can't believe I got through that type of thing. I really like, am taken back when I watch it, and I'm like, damn, I really did go through that and come out on top, and a lot of people feel that. Do you feel like writing this book was kind of like therapy and kind of like helped you through the motions of what you were feeling? And that's a two-part question. That's the first one. The second one is, did you feel the emotions all over again of the situation?
Yes. So I was feeling the emotions of it all over again during the whole writing process. And it was like a 50-50 because it was kind of therapeutic for me, because I was feeling like, okay, I'm finally telling my story, because this is something that they've never heard.
Right.
Never. And I'm 35 years old now, and they're just now hearing this. So it was like therapy for me, and I think it helped with my siblings and just with a lot of friends too, to understand why I am the way that I am. It gave them a better perspective of why I always wanted to be in law enforcement, why I always wanted to work in the prisons. It was because my father was locked up. And I always wanted to know how the COs were treating him. What is he going through in there? Why can't he call me at a certain time? Why can't he just come out and, hug me or see me or anything like that? So now as a CO, I know he couldn't call me because they turned the phones off at 9 o'clock. Like he couldn't do this because of that. He couldn't do this because of that. So now I know. So all of that has all been a healing process for me. So it's been healing, and I'm still healing from it. I've been trying to put this book in audio since I came out with the book, but as I record myself, I just can't get through it. I keep having to do so many takes over and over again, and I'm like, okay, moving on from this book. I'll try again in about another year, maybe 2 years. But I know I need to give myself some time before I can put this on audio, because I'm just not getting through it. And I don't know why, because I feel like I'm ready, I got it. And then when I start recording myself again, I stop at like chapter 1.
Well, I'll say this much. I know that if you put it on audio, that thing is going to be vicious, because
I'm trying to.
I read it and I felt it. But when you just read the intro, I was like, damn. It really kind of like, woo, you feel it more. It's a lot more powerful because you can feel the sentiment. You can feel what you're feeling behind it. So I really, I'll pray on that for you. I hope that that's something that happens for you, because I think that so many people are definitely being touched by this book, because I was touched when I read it. But I am absolutely certain that if they heard you and they feel the energy and the power, they're definitely going to be like, oh my goodness, because that's how I felt. I can't believe we're already almost at the half mark. How did that happen? That's what happens when you're having good conversations. So people have not, if you haven't read the book yet, there's some surprises in there, right? So the one that surprised me the most and blew me away was the cancer. That you had already gone through so much, like just difficult times, strife, just craziness as a child. And then you get older and this happens. Your faith in God must have been, I mean, my grandmother was a devout Catholic, and I literally watched her my entire life be the strongest person I know. But your faith must be like on fire, like fuego, for real. How the heck did you get through that? Like, you went through all of that for then that to happen. And then it was like, I pushed through, and then it's like, it's gone. I was like, oh my God. I was on this plane tripping. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, it was crazy, because I always felt like I didn't get a break.
Yeah.
kind of in life. Like it was 7 to like 14, 15, and then, being kicked out of the house, prime time, and then having to go through this, still not healing from anything that I had just gone through or sharing it with anybody, jumping into cervical cancer for almost 2 years. I was going in and out of these appointments by myself. I didn't say anything. I was tired, and I was going to church at the time, and I just felt like if I'm going to keep it a secret, I might as well keep it a secret with the one that ain't going to tell nobody.
Yeah.
So I just always found myself taking it before the Lord. Um, but even with taking it before the Lord, my faith still wasn't where it needed to be, which is why I feel like it took 2 years for me to get healed. I feel like that's why I talk about in the book where the Lord was saying, apply pressure. When you apply pressure to your faith, then I'll heal the situation. Right now, you just believe in me. But believing and having faith is two different things, because your faith can do more than what you actually believe. Um, and so it wasn't until I had to apply pressure, towards those doctors, towards those nurses, towards everybody that could come into the room. It wasn't until I applied pressure and stepped out of my comfort zone in my faith that I was then healed. It was crazy, because when I ran out of grant money, and when I was to my last visit, and they was like, it's either A or B. And here comes the Lord. No, C. Tell them to check again. And I was like, what? And so that took crazy faith to, to look at the doctor and be like, I understand that you have samples that you scraped out of me, but I need you to do the thing again. And for them to do it again and to come back and say, we don't understand. At that moment, I talk about it in my book for those that don't know. At that moment is when I knew I was healed, because ain't no way you can have 2 years of scraping, of having these things that you took out of me, but now telling me that you don't even see anything in me that would say, oh, this came from you. Like it was just so mind blowing. When I say it wasn't a dry eye in that last appointment, it was not a dry eye in that last appointment, because I just shouted. I was like, I know what happened. The Lord healed me. The
You're
Lord
looking
healed
at you like,
me. Right. And they're like, well, it gotta be, because for the past 2 years we've been seeing you, we've been working on you, and now there's nothing to work on. How does that happen? And so just applying my pressure. And since then, since writing this book, my faith has truly, elevated, so much so that, speaking engagements have been offered to me. The Lord downloaded a second book to me, which is coming out in a few weeks, and He's already downloaded the next book that I'm currently writing. So when you apply pressure to your faith, let me tell you, it'll be blessings on blessings. We like to say, blessings on blessings as a little cliche, but no, when you apply pressure to your faith, you will see blessings on blessings.
oh my gosh, you're touching me, right? But you have, again, the comment section blowing up. You have people who are watching that definitely feel everything that you're saying. So I usually break at the half mark to remind folks of the National Domestic Violence Hotline. So I'll do that quickly. People who are on here, as you know, we are here for a purpose. We are here for a reason. Quickly, before we even get into that, I want to remind folks, as per always, that my organization began after the untimely death of a friend, Linda Rios. I just wanted to take this moment to send some love up to her in heaven. Yesterday was her birthday, so we wish her a happy birthday in heaven, and we know that we are going to see her again one day. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233. So you have a bunch of comments here, and I want to say them. But before we go into these comments, I have a question about your dad. So your dad was away. You were being abused during that time. So my question is, did you ever find out how he knew? Was it from that 15-minute conversation with your mom?
You know what? I asked him that. I did ask him that. First, he said, just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Let it go. And then in another conversation, he did say that she had mentioned something about it to him when she took that time when we went to go visit him in prison, is what you're referring to. So yes, he did say that it was mentioned to him.
So as a father, I'm going to assume that that was something that was painful and was hurtful. And this was at that time he came home and, you guys went through the motions then. But now that you're older, now that he's older, you said he's in I think the book says he's in Puerto Rico now?
No, he's in Jersey now.
In Jersey now. Okay. So was he in Puerto Rico at some point or am I crazy?
Yeah, he was.
Okay. I'm like, am I crazy? All right. So he's in Jersey now. Have you guys, now that the book is, is out and it's on paper, have you guys ever again spoke about like his feelings? You're his baby girl, you speak in the book, of him always being the one that like adored you. How did he feel? Did he ever speak about the pain or anything that he felt knowing that you were being sexually abused?
Absolutely. When I interviewed my father for the book, he shared his emotions. He shared it all. He shed his tears, just as a father would. Yeah. Wow. And I just let him, get that all out. And I tried to stay strong because I didn't want both of us tearing up. But he did have that opportunity to get that out of his chest. And just like any father, being locked up, knowing that something is going on with their baby girl and there's nothing that they can do about it, he shared his feelings towards all of that.
Wow. Powerful. I'm going to read some of the comments to you because I know you're on your phone. I'm not sure if you can see them or not. So Daniela Roman, she says, wow, Abigail, your story is absolutely amazing. Your book is going to inspire so many. God is great. Thank you, Daniela, for being here. I want to go back to Helen's big comment because she was the first comment that I saw. I don't know if it'll all show up on the screen, but we'll try. Yep, it did. It says, this also happened to me at the age of 5. It's hard to overcome something like this. And in Hispanic families, it's hard to talk about. It makes your intimate relationships very hard. I was never comfortable with my body. I feel like this led to low self-esteem, resulting then to put up with domestic violence in my life. I hear you, Helen. For many years, I fell victim to child sexual abuse and domestic violence. Fast forward, I have God in my life and he got me through this dark time. You are such an inspiration. I'm going to assume that's what her last word was because I see the I, but since it was long, I cut it off. But I'm sure that's what she said. Thank you for sharing that with us, Helen. See, and this is what I'm saying. Putting it on paper, doing things like this, and I know I'm not the only person you've done this with, talking about it and bringing it to light, just like domestic violence, is something that's healing for a lot of people to hear because then they can say, wow, I relate. I get it. I've been there. I've lived that. Every time we do a show, I always have people like, oh, her story resonated with me and your story resonated with me. And, now you've done that for me. And now you've done it for Helen. And I read her comment and I feel like reading her comment is reading my life. I was a child who dealt with sexual abuse when I was a child. And then as I got older, same thing. People say that my low self-esteem and that my hating my body are all just from domestic violence. Absolutely not. I have all of those issues prior to even being abused. So that's why I was a primal target for someone to abuse me in a DV relationship because I was already broken. I already felt like my body was useless. I already felt like I didn't want to be touched. And just like you said, relationships I got cheated on over and over for the exact same thing because I was not willing because I was like afraid of sex or, even when I had it, I was just like, I didn't want to really be touched. And, to this day, there are certain things I don't like to be touched a certain way, even if it's just laying down. It doesn't even have to be a sexual nature. I don't like to be touched a certain way. I don't like my feet to be touched a certain way. And, you don't get into these conversations when you first meet a man. You're not going to say, hey, guess what? I was molested, so you can't do these things to me. Right. That's not really going to write well for a relationship you're trying to make with someone. So it ends up hindering us in these relationships because they have no idea that we went through this abuse. And now they're like, what is wrong with her? So they move on or cheat and do other things. We have other comments. Your sister Elisa says, mad at myself for not paying enough attention.
Oh, no.
I'm sure you all went through the motions. Emilio says, blessings, ladies. Your sister Carmen was telling you it's okay when you were emotional. Christine Lopez says, I was literally listening to you ladies while vacuuming and I got chills and I needed to stop and sit down because this very topic hits home for me. Has telling your story given you a sense of closure and have you been able to forgive? Great question, Christine.
Great question. Yes, it has given me closure. And now I feel like I can share my story and tell my story so that it blesses and touches so many other lives. Because to your point of what you said earlier, this stuff is not being talked about. You know, we tend to say, oh, Uncle Juju was just playing, or Uncle Mike was just playing house, or they was just doing this, or they was just doing that, and we sweep these things under the rug. And so then when our ladies, grow up and they're fast,
Yeah.
we wonder why, well, because they wasn't heard when they was 6, 7, 8 years old, and now they have learned to like and love these feelings that they felt at 7 and 8 and 9. So
Yeah.
now they're 12, 13, 14, and they want those feelings, not
Yeah.
knowing that you was never supposed to experience that at 7, 8 and 9. But because we put these things under the rug, now we have a problem as adults when our teenagers are fast.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it and stop putting these things under the rug. Um, so even though I do interviews from time to time, if I have to cry my way through it, I'm going to cry my way through it because it's so necessary. And when I am done, it is so much more healing that happens inside of me when I'm done with these interviews. And that's why I take so many opportunities to say yes, because I need it.
Yeah.
I really do. And just moving forward, this is just going to be something that I see myself doing for some time. And as far as forgiveness goes, I've forgiven the gentleman. I've forgiven those that were involved. I've forgiven my mother. I've forgiven her before she did the next thing to me. Even though we're not even speaking right now, I still forgive her. I miss her and I love her. She's my mother. I only have one, and she will forever be my mother. Um, so it has made it easier for me to forgive and move on, because not forgiving an individual and holding it in is only damaging me and
Yes.
setting me back. So what is
Absolutely.
the point of coming out with the story, coming out with the book, and not forgiving?
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. You're awesome. Emilio Roman, sidebar, Emilio and Daniela Roman, they run the co-author network. So I was fortunate enough to become an author because of them. So they're watching, and this is what he said. Let's see how we can help you get your audiobook sooner than another year. People need to hear your story. And I agree with him. They do. I'm telling you, your book was amazing, but just hearing you verbalize it and to feel your passion and energy, I know that that's going to touch people at a far bigger rate than what it is already. Because, just feeling your energy kind of gives people more of like seeing that you're a real person. And this is really your sentiment that's being put out on this book. Your brother says, I'm crying right now, even listening. You are so strong, sis. Love you. I love that your family is on here and that your sisters and your brother are here, your nephew, there's another woman who's writing to you. I love it because I love when, they're here and that you're not alone and that these people are supporting you from afar and near. So that's awesome. Alicia said, wow, talk about a faith-filled journey. Absolutely. There was a lot of God is good. God is great. Patricia Scott says we serve an awesome God. Oh, wow, there's a lot in here. And I actually, wow, there's a lot. They've been filling it up. I'm going to get back to everything you guys are saying. I'm going to ask you the question that was posed to me. And that might be where Sandra's comments are coming from. So we were involved in a group message, the ladies who were on with me last week. And one of the women posed a question for me. I said to her, is that something you're telling me to ask for this week? Or in reference to domestic violence, because it could go either way, right? And she's like, oh, right, it would go for both. So I said to her that when I was on today, I was going to ask. So her question says, what happens when the abuser is well known, but an undercover abuser and starts to get identified, accused by victims, but turns to church and is now viewed as a prophet, a messenger of God, while his victims watch in pain, suffering, and in disbelief? That's the first question. The second part was, oh, no. That was it. She was saying something else after. So that's the question that she posed. Now, I know that this person who abused you was someone who actually went to church at your home like every Sunday, correct? He was a part of that environment. Hold on. All these messages keep coming up and I'm like, wowzers, I'm trying to keep up with everybody. So I guess this is the question that she asked. What would be your take on that question? You need me to read it again?
No,
Okay.
it is something that happens too often.
Mhm.
And I feel like the church has gotten comfortable with covering the stuff up as well.
Yeah.
Um, and so stuff like this has to come from the pulpit to the usher working the back door or
Mhm.
working the front door. It has to be talked about. We want to talk about, sex before marriage, and we talk about drugs and alcohol in church. We don't have a problem talking about that. We talk about heaven and hell. We talk about that. We don't have a problem talking about that. But when it comes to, the leaders knowing who are the predators at the church, it's time to sit them down, take them off, ministry, send them to go get some help, but to keep them in ministry, to allow them to continue being around our babies.
Mhm.
That just makes matters worse because then people grow up hating church. It draws them away. They can't wait till they 18 and they out of the house so they never have to go to church again. And this is what draws us millennials away from the house of God. It's things that happened inside of the house of God that was never dealt with. So
Mhm.
now we don't go again. Luckily for me, there was always a pull and a covering from the Lord in my life that He didn't just let me slip away, even though I wanted to, because I called myself going to California and going away from church. And what did I do? Ended up in California finding a church home.
Yeah.
So, He always found a way to cover me. And for that, I am grateful. But it's just, it happens all the time and it needs to be talked about often more. It needs to be talked about more from the pulpit to the door. It needs to be talked about.
Your sister Sandra says the molester was a Christian. Did that impact your belief in his?
Um, yes. At at one point in my life, I was done with church. I was done with God. I was done with the people of God because I couldn't understand. There's a section in my book where I talk about, me eyeing a lady,
Yeah.
when this man's hand was on my
Yes.
little thigh,
Yes.
I talk about in my book, and I'm
Mhm.
eyeing this lady like, like I
Mhm.
know you see this, and she
She
just
looked
turns
away.
her head.
Yeah.
I talk about it. So you mean to tell me, like, if I was to do that, if any kid was to do that to us today, we would know exactly what that means. We would yank that baby out of that man or woman's presence and be like, you staying right here till I get in contact with your mama or your daddy. But when that happened, I was like, hated, hated church, hated the people that attended church because I'm like, there's no covering here. There's no
Yeah.
protection here. And if
Right.
there's no protection anywhere else, there should be protection in the house of God.
Absolutely.
So growing up, I always had that I'll go, but I don't really want to be here type of
Yeah.
attitude. And then growing up as a Pentecostal, everything was a sin. You know, you
Mhm.
if you come to church looking too cute, that's a sin. No earrings, no pants, no this, no that. It just really frustrated me even more because I'm coming from this into this, and
Mhm.
I'm like, and ain't none of y'all really helping me. I'm
Yeah.
sick of it. So
Yeah.
now, now I'm older, and it's so funny that I'm married to a pastor. And so, the Lord, just when He has His hands on you, there's really nothing you can do to remove yourself from His presence. But He was like, I know you hate it here. I know you hate it here. I know you hate it here. But I need you to be here because it's going to be at this place where you tell your story. It's going to be at this place that you help so many. So I need you to go through these things because you're strong enough to stand here. And I need you here at 35 years old. So I'm here now and I'm telling my story, and I am still trying to stand strong, even going to church to today.
Awesome. Your sister Carmen says, I thank God I have sons because I can't imagine going through this with a daughter. Absolutely. Chrissy responded and says, so happy to hear that this has given you closure and that you have been able to forgive. It is not easy to do. Absolutely not. other comment. Alicia says, God really has a sense of humor sometimes. Patricia Scott says, not on my watch. Not playing.
Patricia Scott, she's actually a member of the church that I attend.
Yes. Daniela says, unfortunately, oops, I pressed the wrong button. Unfortunately, there are too many men of the cloth that are accused of abusing children. It's sad, but it has caused me to lose so much respect and faith in them. Yeah, I think that that's something that I think a lot of people struggle with. It doesn't matter which faith you choose, whether it's Pentecostal, Baptist, Catholic, whatever the case. I mean, there's so many instances of people accusing priests, and it's just so much going on. I think it's just, it just makes it more for us as parents, as adults, to continue for us to be vigilant of who we allow around our children, and hearing the signs, you know, and seeing the signs, and knowing, you know, if my baby says somebody touched me, believing them the very first time, and not waiting for it to linger. And not just in your case, but in general. I've had so many situations where you know, by day I'm a school counselor. So, you know, I've had students come to me, and I've had to do reports and call DHS and, you know, have kids removed from homes. And it's sad because I have been in the place where I'm a mandated reporter. If your child comes to me with this, I have to do something about it. And it's sad for me when we call the homes and the parents are mad at me, and they're just like, oh, she likes telling stories. Like, you fell into that. Why would you call, you know, child services? And I'm like, so you were aware of this and you did nothing about it? Like, why do our children have to go through the pain, or even decide, okay, the first time I told my mom, she didn't believe me, so whatever, it is what it is, and just go through the pain of years of embarrassment and shame and just dealing with it, continued abuse, because the people who are supposed to love us and nurture us decide, I don't believe what you're saying. In our instance, you know, as a child, I don't want to get too much into my own family experience, but, you know, that's what held us back for a long time, because we weren't believed. So it was just a matter of, we're not going to talk about it. And I think that transformed each of us differently, our attitudes, and just different ways of how we maneuvered life from that point on, from kids to adulthood. So I've always been super big, and I've kept a very open relationship with my daughter. And let me tell you, more times than none, because of my past experience, if my daughter's upset and I know she's been at an unfamiliar home, I'm like, did something happen? Did somebody touch you? Did somebody get near you? Because I'm like, I will kill somebody. Did something happen? You know, and sometimes people say you're a helicopter mom. I'm not, you know, I just want to make sure that my child won't go through what I went through. You know, I cry a lot of times, and people know they watch the show, I'm a crybaby, but I cry a lot of times by myself, because I think of everything I've been through, the abuse as a child, and then the domestic violence, and just being in such toxic, narcissistic relationships with different men who just mistreated me so much. And I look at my daughter, and she's phenomenal. She's turned into such a great young woman. She's 14, and she has the best disposition. My girl is just a positive kid. She's funny. She's amazing. And then I cry, because I'm like, God, like, please don't let her ever have to go through anything that I went through, because I do not want anything to change who she is. She is already, for me, 10 times better than I ever was at her age. Like, I did not have her strength. I did not have her courage. And to watch her, I could never imagine someone diminishing that and taking away her childhood from her, you know. And I know, you know, because it was, our innocence was taken from us, pretty much. Thank you, Tita. Teresa says, my daughter no longer practices a religion. However, she prays to her higher power, which she considers internal because of all of the distrust she has with the molestation of all the children in the Catholic Church. I get you. I get you. Seriously, Teresa, there's been a lot of craziness in all of the churches. Carmen, Christina, you are a strong role model. Your daughter is covered and well prepared for the work. Thank you, Carmen. That is her sister. Your sister's here every week. That's my girl. So it is, I can't believe we're already at this mark. It's crazy that we're always at the end. I've never really honestly gone through a show and felt like it went so fast. This absolutely went fast. And I think because the conversation was so good. I'm probably going to ask you a couple more questions just so that I can get what I wrote on this paper down. And then what we normally do at this time is our final thought. So our final thought, I'll pretty much go to the green room, and I'll leave you the platform to say and feel what it is that you want. You can tell us where we can reach you on social media. let us know how we can buy the book. And then whatever it is that's on your heart, whether you want to discuss the topic at hand, whatever you're feeling. But before we do that, let me ask you a couple more questions just because, I want to know. When you think back on those times, do you still feel anger and resentment towards the people around you? And I think we kind of answered that sort of, but, I know we all have different people who play different roles. So is there anyone or anything, you don't have to be specific about person, but do you still hold any sort of animosity or resentment towards anyone from that time?
I can honestly say I'm not holding on to any anger. Um, when I forgive, and I move on. Me forgiving an individual and me healing may not happen at the same speed and time, but I'm willing to forgive and then to take my healing process at whatever baby steps that it needs. So I believe that I'm still healing, even though I came out with this over a year ago, but I've forgiven the individuals.
My last question is important. What would you say to the 7-year-old Abby with all the experience and knowledge that you have now?
Um, I would tell her to do it again. Um, because I felt like I did everything when I was 7 and 8 and 9 by telling and trying to tell and trying to retell and nothing happened. But being 35 years old and seeing where it has gotten me, I would tell that Abby to do it again because now I see the protection that and the covering that I had over my little sister. So me going through it wasn't just for me because had my little sister been touched, we would have had a bigger problem on our hands. So I would just tell that 7-year-old Abby, press through. And if no one else is listening, then knowing the outcome and knowing where I'm at now, I would literally go through that entire process all over again. But for a 7-year-old going through it now, I would encourage them to scream it out. If your mommy, if your daddy, if your auntie, if your uncle, sister, brother is not listening, run yourself to the police district, run yourself to your neighbor's house, run yourself and let your voice be heard because our babies' voices are silent. And I know what happens when a voice is silent. So I would tell a 7-year-old now to scream it out.
That is awesome. You are awesome. Chrissy, I see your message. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm not going to put it up because this is about Abby tonight, but I appreciate your message. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to go to the back. I'm going to leave you by yourself. Your platform, do you. Say as much as you want, stay as long as you want, but I want them to hear solely from you. I want you to say everything that you want to be heard. Make sure you tell people where to get that book. When I have my moment, I have a picture of the book so people see it. As you're speaking, I am going to put the link to the Amazon so that they're able to purchase the book as well. So I'm going to leave you.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So again, the book is titled My Unspoken Truth, Now Told. And let me just share that even though this was an emotional roller coaster for me to write, it was necessary. It was truly necessary. And the process I'm going through now is even more powerful because the Lord has taken me on another journey. And this is the journey that He's taken me on. Women in posture. So now that I have gone through sexual abuse and molestation, he's now posturing me into another type of woman. And he's truly taken me to the next level. So when I say that I will not trade my experiences for anything, I will not trade my experiences for anything because it has made me into the woman that I am today. It has strengthened me, it has encouraged me, and it has made me the protector that I am today. If you read my book, My Unspoken Truth Now Told, you will see how much of a protector I am to my little sister, to my nieces, and to my nephews, even to this day. So to the parents Teresa says, God bless you. Thank you so much. To the parents, what I really, really want to bring to your attention is listen to your children. We are at a time where we get so irked, as we would say, easily. We get so bothered by our children easily. But I need the parents to take their time to sit down with their babies and ask them at the end of the day, how was your day? Did anybody talk to you out of the ordinary? How was school today? Did anybody touch you out of the ordinary? Did anybody speak to you that you wasn't familiar with today? These are conversations that we need to be having with our children, because too often our babies are coming home and sit down, do your homework, eat your dinner, and don't get up until it's all gone. But no one is asking them about their day. No one is asking them about the little boy in school that touched their baby knee. No one is asking them about anything that they had went through on any particular day. So I encourage parents to pause, take a minute, and ask your babies how they're doing, because I had wished that someone had asked me how I was doing, because I clearly was not okay. But knowing that the Lord always had his hands on my life, I was able to always stand strong, always keep my head high, and continue pushing day after day. Thank you so much for the hugs. Thank you so much for the comments. I do see them. So my book is available on Amazon. It's available also on Barnes and Noble website. I'm trying to get my Barnes and Noble ratings up, so you can go over to Barnes and Noble website and purchase the book. That would be great. But most importantly, leave a review on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. Those reviews really does help. So I don't know how much longer she wants me to speak to you all, but this won't be the last time you see me, because I have a lot more in store that I would love to keep you guys abreast of. So God bless you guys. And if you have any questions, if anybody wants a signed copy, I have 5 here with me. If you would like a signed copy, inbox me, and I will sign it for you, and I will mail it to you personally tomorrow. If you purchase a book online, please let me know, because I have personalized bookmarks that goes along with the book. So if you order a book from Amazon or Barnes and Noble, let me know. I would love to sign a bookmark and mail it to you personally. So Christina,
You are fantastic, woman. I hope there's so many comments in here that there's just, I hope when we get off, you go back and you look, because there's such an outpouring of love for you tonight. And I just think that you deserve all of the flowers that are given to you this evening. And I hope people continue to do so. I hope people continue to fill your cup. And my eyes are getting watery, so I'm going to relax a little bit. I resonate so much with your story and, and your triumph, because though you have been through so much, look at you. You are up here. You are a lion. You are roaring. You are doing your thing. And I think that everyone that is watching feels it. They feel your energy. They feel, how real you are, and, just how blessed you are to share this and to share it with so many different people. You're on so many different platforms, and I'm just so pleased that you were able to come on, share your time with us. I encourage every single woman or man who is watching, and I see the numbers going in and out. So whoever is watching, I pinned the Amazon purchase in the chat. So you can go and press that, and it'll take you directly to purchase it on Amazon. Helen asked how she can contact you. Helen, just click on her name and all of the posts, and it'll take you to her page. You can inbox and speak to her. I hope that you enjoyed yourself, Abigail. I'm going to send you to the back, but stay there. Don't disappear. Don't log off.
Okay.
I'm going to have my final thought, and then we'll come back and say goodbye together.
Okay.
My people, I'm telling you, if you know me and you follow me long enough, you know that Christina se pone a llorar. Look at this hair. I'm crazy. But anyway, you guys know I'm a big crybaby. I get on here and all I do is cry. So I am like thankful that I didn't ugly cry today, because we know I'm guilty of that. I've ugly cried a few times. Thank you guys for being here every week. You guys are phenomenal. You're loving to all of my guests. You continue to fill into their cups, and I love that. I have audience members who are constantly being a driven force to the folks who are on this screen. They give so much love. You can't come on this screen and feel discouraged. Every time people come on, not only do they look like they feel encouraged, I feel encouraged, because it's not easy every week to get up here and to put on a show that continues to spread awareness of so many topics that just are not spoken about. So listen, if there's any takeaway from tonight, I hope you took away a whole lot. But if there's any takeaway from tonight, listen to your babies. When they tell you something is not right, investigate that ish. I'm being honest. Like, too many people allow it to just be something that, oh, she's just, looking for attention, or, oh, why are you lying so much? Listen to your children when they tell you that something is not right. I was a hover mom for real when my baby was out of my sight, when she was a child. When she was little, I refused to let her go with her dad until she was old enough to speak, tell me what is going on. And it was annoying for a lot of folks, but I wanted to make sure that wherever she was safe. Listen to your children when they say something is not wrong. If they say it, something is not right. Folks, listen, go and purchase this book, Stop Playing. Go to Amazon and purchase it. This is what it looks like. This is the cover. Her hair was shorter. It's longer now. Go out and purchase this book. I've pinned the purchase in the link, to the book in our comment section. Go out and purchase it. Quickly, announcements as per usual. Reminding folks, listen, next week is already going to be October 1st. So that means you got 22 days to go out and get your ticket to our gala. Our Love Shouldn't Hurt second gala is happening October 23rd. We are going to have some amazing guest performances. We're going to have a great speaker come out, and we're going to have awards for survivors in the community, and some amazing music. Some awesome sponsors have dedicated their time and different things for us. It's going to be a phenomenal night. Remember, attire is formal. Go to the Concilio website and get your tickets. You can also go to loveshouldnothurt.com, get your tickets on there as well. If you have any issues with the website, because I've heard it was slow, you can call me personally and I will walk you through the process. Get your tickets, people. Get there. I will tell you this much. I'm already filling up tables, and I don't want to have to turn people away. I had to do that last year. Let's not do that again this year. Get your tickets. We have Daniela and Emilio Roman watching. They are part of the co-author network. This is their next book. Daniela is very, very passionate about this book, Behind Closed Doors. I Survived Domestic Violence, and you can too. If you are interested in being one of the authors in this book, contact Daniela. She has written quite a bit in this comment section, so you can click on her name or her husband, Emilio Roman. They will guide you and they will help you in that process of being a part of that book. They gave me the opportunity of being in a book, and it was an amazing and phenomenal experience. They're going to help me with my solo book, so they're awesome folks. Contact them. Tonight has been another riveting conversation with another fierra, like I say, woman who has turned her pain into purpose. And I am truly, truly just honored that she was on the screen with us tonight. So I hope that all of you enjoyed yourself. We enjoyed having her here. I'm going to bring her back so that we can say goodbye. Thank you again, Abigail, for being here. It was my pleasure to have you on tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. We'll see you guys again next week. Well, I will. Next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Remember to follow us on loveshouldnothurt.com, on all of our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram to find our latest updates. Remember to follow us and be here. Thank you for those who are constantly with us every Tuesday. Another warm thank you to Abigail. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good night. See you all next week.